Once upon a time, there was this crazy, bald-headed old man.
He had a boat with no motor and a lawnmower with no blades.
He got the idea to use the lawnmower to power his boat.
And that's what this video is about.
Hey there, welcome back to the channel today. Here's the boat that I'm going to take and make it into a riding lawnmower powered paddle boat. And here's the riding mower. I'll be removing the rear wheels and I'm going to tie those to the paddles that I put in the boat. And I'm also going to take off the front wheels off the steering, and I'm going to convert that into a way to steer a rudder on the boat. Okay, now I have to figure out a way to adapt this sprocket. I got a sprocket for each side. I got to figure out a way to adapt them to the axle. I got an idea. I'm going to print an adapter. Okay, I have it designed now in SolidWorks. I'll need 4 of these. What it's going to do is sandwich the sprocket on each side with bolts through it. That should slide on the shaft. So let's see here. We got to get it printed now. While this is printing, I'm going to go out and see what it's going to take to get the lawnmower mounted into the boat. Okay, the first thing I'm going to have to do is remove this seat and that seat up there. Okay, I've got it ready to set in the boat. Let's try to get it over in there and see how it works. Okay, here's how it looks in there. Looks pretty good. Okay, at this point I have all the structural work done. I have the boat kind of locked in the middle of the boat. I have it designed where that if I have to remove it frontwards or backwards, I can remove a couple screws and slide it forward or back. This is the part that holds the paddle axle. I have it designed where I can raise and lower it, and it still stays the same distance off the axle of the mower. Okay, there's 2 down. Just 2 more to go. Okay, I wanted to show you what I've got going on here and how this is supposed to work if my plans all come through. So I'm just using wood as a bearing here. This big pipe is going to support my paddles out here, one on each side. I will lubricate that really good where it comes to the wood. I don't think it'll be a problem at all. I think a long time ago bearings used to be made out of wood. So I'm going to have some wooden bearings here. So we have that 2x4, which is this 2x4 right here that goes down. It has a hole in it that slips over the shaft of the transmission on the lawnmower. It comes out through that piece of wood and into my 3D printed adapters here for this lower sprocket. Right now I have too much slack in the chain. I have some half links ordered, so I'll put a half link in there and snug that up just right. On this upper sprocket here I have spacers that are 3D printed because the ID of this sprocket is too large for this pipe by just a little bit. So I created and made some 1/8 inch thick spacers that perfectly fit in there. Here's what I'm doing with the sprocket. You can see the orange spacer pieces that I made. That centers this sprocket up pretty nicely on the shaft. Then I have the piece of plywood on the back. This goes together like that. And then I have another piece of plywood coming. The holes in my plywood are too big. They got slop in them. So what I'm doing is the bolts that come out, I'm putting this there that fits tighter on the pipe, and that's going to give this sprocket some stability. So here's the piece I'm talking about that I'm going to tie to that sprocket. It's out of a piece of 1/2 inch thick plastic. It's HDPE, I believe it's called, high density polyethylene. It's some people use it as playground board or gator board. It's used a lot on playgrounds. Anyway, it's a real durable plastic. I am machining the OD of it just to make it prettier because I had to saw it with jigsaw and I didn't do a great job. So I'm machining the outside of it round as small as I can get it and still clear the jaws of my chuck here. And then I'll go back and turn the inside part there the exact diameter I need to fit over that pipe. Looks pretty good. A lot better than my saw cut. Okay, I know what you see there is not the proper way to use a tool in a lathe. I've got it upside down and backwards, using it as a boring tool. It probably would not work in steel, but in this plastic it's going to work just fine. So anyway, I just wanted you to see what I'm doing here, even though it's out of the norm by a long shot. Okay, here's the finished part off the lathe. It's plenty tight on the pipe. I will probably actually have to kind of drive it on there, but I want it tight. So that'll slide all the way down to this. It's going to slip over these 4 bolts here, and I'll put another nut on it, and that should take this wobble out. I want you to see the idea I came up with for greasing this right here. I drilled a hole in this wood right here, and I'm just going to hold the grease gun over that hole, I think. Oh yeah. All right guys, I wanted to give you a little bit of a preview here. I've already got the paddles on it now, and I've been running it, just letting it run in a little bit, and it runs really nice. It's pretty smooth. I'm not going to run it for you right now. You're going to have to wait till the end of the video. Well, I'm through with all the fabrication and construction on this thing. I've used all the scrap material I have around here. I think I've got my wife's broom handle in here as part of the steering. But now I have the paddles off of it. I'm going to slap some paint on everything here. But I kind of wanted to let you see a little close-up before I do anything else. Here's a steering sample. Works pretty good. And here's how I fabricated the steering on it. Basically, I just slid this piece of PVC over the axle there. I've got it clamped on where it can't come off the axle. I've got it tied to, like I said, a piece of broom handle. Here it runs all the way back. It wasn't long enough, so I had to splice another piece of pipe into it, which is another mop handle or broom handle. All the way back here at the back, I had these scraps. I think they were from a TV mount or something. That's why it's got so many holes in it. But I welded that to a piece of 5/16 all thread rod there. It may even be 3/8. But then I came up and welded the top of it to that same rod. I used another piece of PVC pipe to come back to another TV bracket that's also welded to a piece of rod. It turned out pretty good, and it's really good and tight. I'm really surprised at how well it did come out. I'll do a quick walk around so you can take a look at everything really good. Oh, shit. The reason I use 2 chains on this thing is because the transmission operates like a differential. In other words, one wheel can slip while the other one turns. So what happens is if you lock down one of the wheels, the other axle turns at twice the speed. So if I didn't put both chains on here, the axle would just sit here and spin and not power anything. Well, that was a fun little project. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, and I would really like it if you'd ask all your friends and your buddies to go to my channel, subscribe, and hit that like button. And until next time, may God bless you.